You wake up on an open savanna 60,000 years ago. No phone, no map, no bottle of water, just you, your soft modern body, and a sun already climbing. You don't know it yet, but you have about 2 days to live. Not because of a predator, because of something far simpler that your ancestors solved every single day without thinking. So, could you survive even 1 week in the world that made us? The first thing that hits you isn't fear. It's heat. By mid-morning, the savanna is already climbing past 35 degrees, and there's no shade that isn't already taken by something with teeth. Your body does what modern bodies do. It sweats. That's good. That's the system working. But sweat is water, and water is the one thing you don't have. This is the simple killer, not the lion. Thirst. In this heat, a person can lose more than a liter of water an hour, and the human body starts failing after losing just a few. By the second afternoon, if you haven't found water, your thinking slows, your judgment cracks, and the savanna stops feeling survivable. Your ancestors knew this. So before anything else, before food, before fire, they knew the first rule of this world. Find water or nothing else matters. But here's the problem. Finding water in a dry land is a skill, and it's one you don't have. You'd look for a river. There isn't one. What there is, if you knew how to read it, is everything else. A line of green trees cutting across brown grass, that means water below the surface. Animal tracks all bending in the same direction at dusk, follow them. They're going to drink. The flight path of certain birds in the early morning. Your ancestors read this landscape like a page of text. You'd walk right past it. And even when you found water, it wouldn't be clean. It would be a muddy hole shared by every animal for miles, swimming with the kind of bacteria that empties you out in a day. They knew which plants filtered it, which to dig beside, how to let the mud settle. You'd drink it down and pay for it by morning. Let's say you survive the water problem. Now comes the slow one, hunger. You won't starve in a week, the body's better than that. But the Stone Age wasn't a buffet, it was feast and famine famine was the default. Most days there was no big kill. Most days survival meant the unglamorous work of foraging, digging tubers out of hard ground, cracking nuts, stripping berries, pulling up roots that hold water and calories at once. The people who survived weren't the best hunters, they were the best gatherers, and most of them were women, and most of what everyone ate came from them. You'd starve standing in a field of food because you wouldn't know that the ugly root at your feet is a meal, and the bright berry beside it will kill you. That knowledge took a lifetime to learn. You'd have an afternoon. And meat, the thing you're picturing, the hunt, that was rare and it was dangerous and it was nothing like you imagine. Your ancestors didn't sprint after antelope and spear them. They couldn't. You can't outrun anything on that plain. What they could do was something no other animal could. They could keep going. In the worst heat of the day, a group of humans would pick one animal and simply follow it. Not chase, follow. Hour after hour in the sun while the animal overheated and they didn't because they sweated and it didn't. They walked it to death. It's called persistence hunting, and it might be the oldest thing humans ever did well. But it took endurance you don't have, tracking skill you don't have, and a group which you don't have either. Alone, you don't get the meat. Alone, you're not the hunter at all. But the hunt isn't the dangerous part. The dangerous part comes when the sun goes down, because out here, you're also prey. When the sun drops, the savanna changes owners. The lions that lay invisible in the grass all day get up. Hyenas, not cowards, not scavengers only, but coordinated pack hunters with a bite that crushes bone, start moving. Leopards come down from the trees, and near any water, the oldest ambush on Earth waits in the shallows. The crocodile, unchanged for millions of years, patient enough to watch a waterhole for hours for exactly the kind of slow, soft creature you are. Your ancestors survived this not because they were stronger, they weren't, but because they never ever faced it alone, and because they had the one thing none of these animals had: fire. Fire is the whole game. Fire is the line between you and everything with teeth. A circle of firelight pushes the predators back to the edge of the dark, where you can see their eyes, but they won't come closer. Fire cooks food, which pulls far more calories out of every bite and kills the things in raw meat that would kill you. Fire keeps you warm when the desert night turns shockingly cold. Fire is so central to being human that we may have been using it for 1,000,000 years before this. But here's the brutal part. Could you make it? Not find it, make it. From scratch, with no lighter, no matches, just dry wood and friction and technique. Most modern people dropped into the wild cannot make fire to save their lives. Literally. Your ancestors could do it in minutes. You might never do it at all. And that brings us to the thing that actually kept humans alive. It wasn't strength. It wasn't speed. It wasn't even fire. It was each other. This is the part survival shows never tell you, because it doesn't fit one hero against the wild. The truth is, no human survived the Stone Age alone. Not for long. The lone wanderer is a myth. Alone, you can't hunt, you can't sleep safely, you can't survive an injury, you can't raise a child. What kept your ancestors alive was the band, 20, 30 people who shared every kill, watched each other's children, carried the knowledge between them, who held an old man's memory of the drought 40 years ago, the location of a water source 3 valleys over, the song that mapped the route to the coast. A single human in the Stone Age is a dead human. A group of humans conquered the entire planet. That's the answer. That's how they did it. Together and with everything they knew poured into every single day just to see the next one. So, could you survive? Honestly, almost certainly not. Not alone, not without the knowledge, not for more than a few days. You'd struggle with the heat, you'd fail to find water, you'd starve in a land full of food. You'd meet the night without fire. And none of that is because you're weak. It's because everything that made survival possible, the water reading, the tracking, the fire making, the plant knowledge, the bonds of the group, was earned over thousands of generations and handed down person to person. And then somewhere along the way, we stopped needing it and we let it go. Your ancestors carried all of it so that one day you wouldn't have to. Every one of them was hungry, hunted, and exhausted, and they survived anyway, long enough to pass the world down to you. You're the result of an unbroken chain of people who never failed, not once, to make it to the next morning. And the strangest part is this. The body reading these words still has all of it inside. The craving for sugar, the fear of the dark, the pull toward fire, the need to belong to a group. You are built for that world. You just got lucky enough to be born after it. And that might be the rarest thing about you.